Hello and welcome back. We're picking up again doing some of these kind of video tutorial reminders, a bit of a view of what we actually do within the forum. So we did a few of these a while back involving looking at some of our sites or syllabus, but what I want to do for the next few weeks is we're going to have a look at some of the savat stuff that we do. So this falls very much as part of the Bartitsu syllabus. And the name Bartitsu, Antagonistics Forum, the Bartitsu part is obviously the unarmed side of what we do. And that's a mixture of pugilism, bare knuckle boxing, savat, which we're going to be talking about a lot more, some jiu-jitsu, and also improvised weapons. But really at the minute I want to talk about some of the savat stuff with you. So let's have a start with that. So it's kind of like French kickboxing, and it still exists today. It was developed on the docks of Marseille, and this is really important to understand where it comes from, to understand what it looks like and what it's used for. So really it starts with sailors, and as happens, they get paid a lot of money when they arrive back on shore and they get their shore leave. So they've suddenly got pay and free time. So instantly, as all sailors are wont to do apparently, they head into towns, they get very, very drunk, they visit brothels, and then they try to kill each other in the streets. Very common practice, it seems, what happened is there was a lot of knife crime, a lot of people being killed. They had a real clampdown on kind of weaponry and stuff, and the penalties for knifing people went really high. So they started doing a lot of more street, fist fights, and those resulted in people then just getting punched to death rather than stabbed to death. So the law changes, and the penalty for killing people with your hands really increases as well. So being the French, they developed an entire way of killing you with your feet, so that it's not covered by that law. So savat has a few strange things because A, we're not allowed to punch. So all of the techniques we're going to use with the hands are going to be done open-handed, because we're not allowed to close it. The minute I close my hand, I carry a much heavier penalty if I get caught. So all of the hands techniques become open hand palm techniques. Although in fairness, and as we'll talk about as we go through, there's nothing to stop you doing them with a closed fist as well. But then the rest of it is done predominantly with the feet. And as the name would suggest, savat means boot or shoe. It's designed to be done wearing worker boots. Yeah, this isn't designed to be done barefoot. It isn't designed to be done in trainers. It's designed to be done in boots that can take a lot of punishment. And as such, that allows us to do a lot of kicks that I couldn't do in lighter footwear. However, it does mean that it makes my kicks a little bit slower, and also the idea of trying to drag these high kicks up towards the head and things just don't really come into it at all. So savat, there's a few kicks that go into the stomach or the ribs, but most of the kicking happens below the waist. And it's done, as I said, in a way that's designed largely to break your knees. That's what a lot of savat becomes about. So if it's below the knees, kicking. If it's above the, if it's below the waist, kicking. If it's above the waist, then it's lots of slapping. One of the other things about savat is, sorry.
One eternity later.
Sorry about that. Right, so yes, savat. So still exists in France today. Is still actually taught as a sport. In fact, it's split into two distinct parts. As happens with a lot of martial arts, it falls out of use as an actual self-defense method. People are still interested in it, and it becomes more sportified over time. So you have savat sportif, but also savat combative. And it's the combative one is the more true to the original and designed much more for violence, whereas more modern sports savat has a lot more of these high kicks that you would expect to see from the term kickboxing as we understand it. If you think about an MMA or whatever, where you have these kind of high kicks, or taekwondo, any of these ones that kind of have these kind of huge range of kicks, fall more within the sportive category. We're going to be looking much more at the defensive category, where I'm much more interested in actually injuring my opponent. So, hopefully now you have a bit of an understanding about what savat is, So we're going to pick up next week and we're going to start looking at some of the techniques. The first one we're going to look at is called the musette. It's very similar to a kind of jab if you're used to kind of sports boxing or whatever. But we'll come to that next week. So have a great time and I shall catch you later.